everyone, I'm Linda Loveland with this week's NC Farm Bureau Report. Big topic this week, we're talking about Sackett versus EPA. The case was just decided by the Supreme Court. So to talk a little more about this, Jake Parker, General Counsel for the North Carolina Farm Bureau, joins us. We've had a lot of cases to talk about recently, for sure. It's been busy for you all.
Yeah, and it's always better when we have a win to talk about. That's what we've got here.
We're happy. In fact, when you talked to me about this the other day, you said we had a huge win. It was a triple huge win.
Yes.
Yes,
Triple huge win.
So to Sackett versus EPA, of course, this is the couple in Idaho wanted to build a house next to a small, well, I guess...
Interstate lake.
Yeah, interstate lake.
Yes.
Never heard of that.
That's a lake that doesn't go into any other state.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, interesting. Well, this is a case that's been going on since, 2011, I think.
Longer than that, since 2002. Oh. They've been trying to build this lake, this property on this lake for over 20 years, and they've been up to the Supreme Court once and back down and back up.
Well, we were part of this last hearing, I guess, what you want to call it. So I know a lot of Farm Bureaus sent in friend of...
The court briefs,
court briefs, yes, and we were one of those. And we got a ruling.
Yep. The Supreme Court ruled that the federal government's authority to regulate water is really narrow. And that's what we've been arguing to the U.S. Supreme Court, to Congress for decades, since the Clean Water Act was enacted back in 1972. So it's a really gratifying ruling that we now know where the lines are with respect to what the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers, the two federal agencies that regulate water, where the lines are and how far they can go in terms of regulating.
Now, one of the words that they talked about, the phrases, was continual surface, or what was that phrase?
Yeah, the Supreme Court ruled that in order for a water to be able to be regulated by the federal government, you have to have a continual surface connection between, let's say, a wetland, which is, kind of marshy. It's part land, part water, hence wetland, right? And so where you have one of those, you have to have a continuous surface connection between a navigable water or a water of the U.S. that is interstate, that connects to another state.
Gotcha. And that's really been the biggest issue, because there's been so much uncertainty. I mean, this rule has been up and down and up and down depending on the administration. So finally there is some clarity in all of this.
And the confusion about that came out of a U.S. Supreme Court case called Rapanos, which is a 2009 case. And that case created this idea of a significant nexus. There has to be a significant nexus between a wetland and a water. And nobody really knew where that significant nexus was or what that meant. And the U.S. Supreme Court said in Sackett, significant nexus is not the test. We don't apply that. Instead, we look for a continuous surface connection.
So this is done, right? But I guess it can always be challenged again, but for the time being, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really big win. The Biden administration, as you mentioned earlier, we had the WOTUS rule back in 2015 with the Obama administration, and then the Trump administration came in and put their spin on the rule, and now the Biden administration has come back, so we've been ping-ponging this issue around. The Biden administration has a rule that relied on the significant nexus test. So they're going to have to, we think, reevaluate all this and publish a new rule that will be more narrow and consistent, we hope, with the U.S. Supreme Court. That's the thing to watch moving forward.
All right. So, and this will take forever too. Not forever, but I mean, this is something that's been going on for a long time.
I don't know that the issue's over, but we do have some guardrails from the U.S. Supreme Court. That's really important.
Very good. All right. Well, until the next thing, what's the next thing we're looking for?
Well, we have a case that's pending before the U.S. Supreme Court in the Property Protection Act. We filed a petition for writ of certiorari. That's your big U.S. Supreme Court rule for today, but that's a request that the U.S. Supreme Court look at that case, which is a really important First Amendment issue, and it deals with the balance between property rights and the First Amendment. A really important case going forward. Hopefully they'll take it. We'll see.
All right, well, you've been busy. Thanks for all your time, Jake, and all your hard work on all of this. So, I mean, it makes a difference getting in on these. People don't realize all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes with getting in on these cases.
Well, we always appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it.
All right, well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week for another NC Farm Bureau Report.